The Global Digital Asset Summit continues with an APAC focus by turning to Southeast Asia, one of the fastest growing regions for digital asset adoption. My name is Alec O'Sullivan. I'm the policy lead at DECA, and I just want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, TRM Labs, SwiftX, XDC Network, OKX, and CoinSpot. With young tech-savvy populations and governments actively exploring digital transformation, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines are becoming key players in the global conversation. Moderated by Ron Tucker, we are joined by Asih Karnengsih from the Indonesia Blockchain Association, Dinh Tran from the Vietnam Blockchain Association and Digital Assets Association, and Chezka Gonzales from the Blockchain Council of the Philippines. Together, they bring a regional perspective on how policy, innovation, and entrepreneurship are driving progress in Southeast Asia. Ron, over to you.
Great. Hey, thank you so much, Alex. It's great to see you as always. Absolutely delighted to be here. I'm Ron Tucker. I originally founded the Australian Digital Currency and Commerce Association in early 2013. So we're going back about a century in Bitcoin years. Of course, that organization has evolved into what it is today, which is DECA. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by my fellow panelists, each representing the leadership of our counterpart trade associations in Vietnam, in the Philippines, and of course in Indonesia. I've had the pleasure of working with most of you guys over the course of the last few years in some capacity or another. I think we did some great work together back in 2022 at the V20 in Bali, where you guys kindly hosted. And that was an effort to actually bring together the crypto industry to meet with the Financial Action Task Force at the G20 Leaders Summit in order to address the travel rule situation and ensuring that crypto was able to engage and understand what was required to make sure that we were meeting the standards necessary to work in the global banking financial services system. So that was a great experience. Chezka Gonzales is the co-founder of the Blockchain Council of the Philippines and is the founder of Philippines Blockchain Week. So I have the good fortune of seeing her a bit more regularly as I'm part-time based here in Manila. Chezka, I believe you're in Dubai right now, yeah?
Yes, yes.
On the other side, yeah. So we'll have you back here shortly. And of course, Dinh Tran in Vietnam, which is doing some amazing work as well. I've had the chance to visit Vietnam on several occasions, host some of your colleagues in Australia for Industry Matters. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just get you to go around the table, give a short introduction, and just give us a lay of the land. What's the current situation in each of your countries in terms of regulation and policy? So I think, Dinh, why don't you go ahead first?
Okay. Actually, thank you, Ronald, for giving me a pleasure to introduce first. Actually, it's lady first, but yeah. Okay. So my name is Dinh Tran from Vietnam. I'm working for a non-profit organization. We call it Vietnam Blockchain and Digital Asset Association. So it's very different from Vietnam, from the other country, that every association in Vietnam, you need to have a license from the government. So so that means we are the only one about the blockchain and digital asset association in Vietnam at the moment, and we have a license from the government to be active. Another thing is I am also the CEO and founder of a company. It's called Alpha True. Alpha True is the company we are doing in blockchains about like nearly 5 years, but my experience in blockchain and digital asset nearly 10 years. And we just got a very good news from the Vietnam government that we just have the first sandbox license in Vietnam at the moment, and that sandbox is right now is the first sandbox in fintech and also the first sandbox in the crypto assets in Vietnam at the moment. So and we are doing the project that helping the traveler can pay like a local one, use the digital assets like Bitcoin or stable coin. Yep. And a little bit about Vietnam at the moment is Vietnam right now we are maybe top 3 in the world about the crypto adoption. but we just have the very early stage of the revolution in the blockchain and also digital assets. We have many like developing in blockchain, but about digital assets, we just have right now only 2 documents in regulatory about the digital assets, and it will be affected in next year, January next year. Yeah. So I think that in the session today, I can share more about how Vietnam is the big change for the global company to come in to invest in, and how you can like the potential of the Vietnam market, because right now we have nearly over 100 million in population, and we have 17 million of users. They are using like crypto or holding the crypto assets at the moment. Yep.
Correct. I believe I read a fact just over the last couple of days that stated that Vietnam's GDP, almost 25%, is actually held in crypto by crypto users, which is just a remarkable statistic when you consider where we started and how far we've come. So
Yep.
very interesting. And also, the other thing to mention is blockchain development itself. I think out of all the countries that I was able to travel to over the last decade, engaging with industry matters, the most active and progressive is certainly Vietnam.
Yep.
Chezka, now you've done some great work on this front as well. So I had the good fortune of being able to join you last year on a little bit of a mini road trip around the Philippines for Philippines Blockchain Week, where I saw armies of university students and college kids show up, 80% engaged in some sort of blockchain education or development work. Why don't you take us through what's happening in the Philippines, and how do you think that's come about? Why is there such a prevalent presence and adoption and uptake in crypto and blockchain development here in the Philippines?
Definitely. So, in the Philippines, I always tell people that Philippines is a very underrated market, and that not everyone knows that Philippines has been the #1 MetaMask downloads in the world during 2021. Aside from the fact that we have 120 million population, that alone says a lot about the Philippines. For us to be in a top 10 crypto adoption, that says a lot. So I think it's also because we are actually advanced in a lot of things, basically having, VASP license, CASP license, and definitely the support of the government. The support of the government in the Philippines is actually the most important thing that's happened to our country. And because of that, there are organizations like us, like the Blockchain Council of the Philippines, that actually pushes this on the private sector, but at the same time, we're partnering with the public sector, which is we're very fortunate to have that, and not every country has that, right? And I think that's also the reason why the students are actually into it, because then it's not just initially it was just about making money, because of the Axie Infinity and gaming and everything. But then after that, it became to a point that even the government is actually using blockchain already as we speak. So we have the privilege of having that in our country. So
All right. Well, that's a common theme now I'm picking up from both Vietnam and Philippines. So as Dinh had mentioned, essentially his organization is the only one that's actually sanctioned by the government and working in partnership with to make sure that that support is provided to industry. So very interesting. You mentioned gaming as well too. So the
Definitely.
Philippines is the biggest gaming market in the world, without doubt. Would you say that and also the Philippines leads the world in NFT ownership? I believe it's something like 32%. Gaming, would you say, is something that really helps underpin the adoption of
Mass
crypto,
adoption.
NFT? Yeah, right. That's what's bringing people in, and that would be the youth.
Definitely. And I think it's also the Gen Z that actually wants to learn more about crypto, because they see that they just don't earn from it. They wanted to learn more about it, so because they know that it's the future. And I think we target them because of their age as well. It's easier for them to understand this, the crypto world. So yeah.
Absolutely. And yet what we see, I believe, is just sort of an organic native adoption by the younger people, particularly under 25, who are interacting and transacting with the Web3 economy. And crypto, of course, is what underpins all of that. And it's perfectly natural to them. So absolutely fascinating. And again, here in the Philippines with, a population of 60% that's under 30 years old, yeah, the future is very, very bright. I think we're going to see some big things out of the Philippines coming up. Asih, so talk to us about Indonesia. Now, you guys are doing some very, very progressive work there, particularly on policy. It's been very inspiring to watch how things are coming together. Can you talk to us about your interaction and relationship with government? What's the support mechanism? How are you moving forward? And what's the current mandate of the government right now in supporting the industry?
Oh, Ron, thank you for a kind introduction. Time flies, right? I think it's been years since the last time we met. Yeah. So yeah, for the introduction, hi everyone, it's Asih from the Indonesia Blockchain Associations. So we're the associations that is formally appointed now by the Financial Services Authority here in Indonesia. So we're an official association partner. We work with them mostly around market conduct and of course to making sure that the industry keep growing in Indonesia. So I really like your questions about how supportive the Indonesian regulators are. At the moment, we've been having a lot of discussion with them since the appointment. I think we have like 2 to 3 meetings in a week, to discuss a lot of different kind of topics. And you mentioned about travel rule, right? And then other things about how I think what is really what I'm so very proud of as an Indonesian is that how our regulators really wants to do more about crypto than just about trading. They really want to come up with innovations. They want to know about let's go bring us about tokenization, so on and so on. Just yesterday, we had a public hearing with our House of Representatives here in Indonesia. Honestly, me personally, it's pretty shocking to see that a lot of officials now have a really good understanding about this industry, and they actually the one who are very keen to, let's move forward. What else do you guys need, from the regulator? So they really wanted to do that. We have the regulation, the crypto related regulations in 2019. Yep. So it's progressing very positively. We have whitelists for crypto that can be traded in Indonesia. I think to understand that perspective is to help our users in Indonesia to pick which crypto they can start with. And I think it's been very helpful. So at the moment, we have more than 16 million users in crypto, which is exceeded our number of capital market investors. So I think that's also the reason why the regulators starting to, really pay attention to it. We have now more than 17 billion US dollar in transaction, and 24 licensed exchanges. I don't think there are other countries who have this number of crypto exchanges other than Indonesia. And we also have like 4 registered crypto exchanges who are in the process of getting fully licensed. So I think this is being very positive. And yeah, I think that's the reason why we are very grateful to have our regulators. They're very active. They're also trying to engage with other regulators in the region to make sure they can work together. I think they also have a good understanding about how natively global these products and technology is. So they just understand that they need to work together with other countries. So I'm going to stop there now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With crypto engagement in your transactions surpassing capital markets, it's no wonder that the OJK, which of course is your Financial Services Authority, they've actually, I believe the crypto oversight has been transferred into OJK this year. So that's good. So you're going to have all eyes on the same thing, and it's going to be much easier to, have a direct dialogue and make it a little bit more practical and functional. Also, I know all regulatory fees have been waived in 2025. Transaction volumes have surged 356% as a result to 37 billion across 20, as you said, 17 to 20 million people. So really progressive stuff that's happening. And yeah, I think you're in a very good position to be able to have the regulator and the policymakers across the table have those regular conversations 2 to 3 times a week. It's very encouraging.
Indeed.
So Dinh, maybe we'll come back and we'll get into a little bit more now. The regulatory sandbox, you mentioned that earlier. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. What is it exactly? What lessons can be learned? I believe it's called the Basel Pay Pilot Program.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about how this has come about and what that actually means for industry and the government?
Okay. So I will back to your last question about the GDP of Vietnam, and also I will go to the sandbox. So right now, based on the genesis, we record that the crypto inflow into the Vietnam market is nearly over 100 billion US dollar every year, but our GDP is nearly about 500 billion US dollar. So that's a very big number, and the government right now, they really want to build the good regulation to attract that money, because actually they just calculate the inflow, not outflow, but right now they want to capture that money into the Vietnam market, because the FDI in Vietnam is just nearly about 30 billion to 35 billion every year, but the crypto inflow is nearly like 100 billion, is like third time to the FDI. So they want to capture that money into the Vietnam. That's why they are really urged to build the regulation for the market. And about the sandbox, actually it's from the IFC, International Financial Center. About the IFC in Vietnam, we are still the early stage too. Actually, we have the document and many framework for the sandbox before, nearly about 7 to 8 years for the IFC, but it's not really work in Vietnam. But right now, after the government open it from big city like Ho Chi Minh City or Da Nang City, so many company, they apply for the sandbox. And actually, from my company, we used to like the global company, we are working outside Vietnam. But after that, when we heard about the sandbox, we are the local one. We understand the best from the local, so that's why we apply for the sandbox, and we got the first sandbox in the fintech, and first sandbox in crypto market also. And we hope that from the sandbox, there's more. That will be more company, not in Vietnam, but outside. They will apply and they will testing. They will trying to build the product into the new market and with the new user. Because we learn a lot from the global, because we are from Vietnam Blockchain and Digital Association. We are who the advisory for the government to build the regulation for the crypto asset and digital asset. So we talk a lot about the sandbox framework, because we study from UAE, we study from Hong Kong, we study from Singapore. There are a lot of big unicorn. They come from the sandbox and they have the big support from the government. So we believe that if we do it good, like maybe a few years more, like 3 years, 5 years, we could have some unicorn. We beginning from the sandbox. Yep, and that's what we trying to talk with the government, and we trying to advise to the government that you need to open the sandbox as soon as possible and attract many talent, many company, many global resources go to Vietnam and invest in Vietnam. So that's what we should do at the moment. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so again, another theme I'm hearing here is with proper and mutual engagement between industry and government. It's clearly indicating why we're seeing such an adoption, such an uptake, engagement by the youth, but also the massive numbers that each of you have mentioned that are moving in and out of the country. Yeah, it's really impressive. Now, Sandbox, I'm going to seg over Chezka, back to you. The BSP also has a sandbox. So that would be the central bank here in the Philippines. CoinsPH, which is the largest crypto exchange, piloted the first peso-backed stablecoin, the PHPC, one-to-one pairing. Can you tell us a little bit about, how you guys have been able to engage with your regulators, SEC, and the central bank through the association, through the Blockchain Council of the Philippines, and how you've built that relationship, and how that's ultimately led to the development of the CASP framework earlier this year. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about CASP.
Definitely. So it actually started with because we're a private sector, right? And we're just literally collaborating with the government. And it just so happened that because through the years we've been working with them, and they had the opportunity, we had the opportunity to hear them, to hear our side on the private sector as well. But currently we do have the BSP. Actually, they stopped accepting VASP license in September 2022. But they will be, for 3 years now, but they will be resuming it, I believe, this year. Well, it was necessary to protect, the consumers, and we assess risks in light of the global events and everything. But then, when it is going to be lifted, the new licenses will be given to players with, of course, strong compliance, which is actually very good. It would, help consumers as well, consumer protection. So on the BSP side, they are, active in terms of, we had to have even the blockchain report. We have all of this backed by real world and facts. So BSP has been very cooperative in terms of doing all the VASP license, giving it to the new ones for sure this year. But as for the CASP license, this is actually just 2 months ago. So it's for the crypto asset service provider. SEC actually do not prohibit crypto trading or investment in the Philippines. It's just to protect, unregistered entities. I believe some of you heard that there are certain exchanges that were banned in the Philippines, but definitely it's just temporarily. It's because they just need to be registered in the Philippines. Basically, that's it. And it's not banned. So
No.
we're actually fortunate to have BSP and SEC working all together hand in hand, so that the crypto exchanges and everything around crypto would be backed by BSP and SEC. So we're fortunate to work with the government on this, and I can't wait for more advancement in the Philippines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the
No,
Congress.
Yes.
Even the Congress is actually doing this already. So
That's right. So I believe the House currently has a bill
Correct.
proposed for a
Correct.
strategic Bitcoin reserve of 10,000.
Yes.
That is
Correct.
really, really interesting. Look, I think this is a good time maybe to move back over to Asih, because as much as it's fantastic to hear the progress, the cooperation, coordination, the support that government and industry are providing to one another in each of your countries, and again, it really speaks to why you're seeing the success you are economically. There is still a big question about sort of the international collaboration and cooperation of industry and governments to that extent. There is real arbitrage. There's a patchwork, of regulatory adoption country to country. Given your work with IDACSA, I'd be really curious to hear from you. What can we do to mitigate that arbitrage? How can the international community work closer together and bring government on side?
Thank you, Ron, for giving the hard question. So I think I'm pretty lucky to, been working with regulators or met them all over the world to really understand what their perspective, right? But I think it comes down to one thing, which is customer protection. So we try to really understand that, right? And being working in the associations, I think it's really give us also the advantage of neutrality. So we can actually see both sides from the private sectors, what they actually want to do or what they actually need, and also the public sector to actually understand what they also need, right? And I think the other challenge is that each country have different situations, have different needs, different characteristics. So that's the reason why even if there's a country who is successful in issuing policy, doesn't mean that it will be fit perfectly in other country. So I think that's also another challenge, right? But I think countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, I think we're pretty lucky because our, law system is pretty centralized. But for a country like in the US, where they have like a federal level law system and then therefore state level, law system, which make the company or private sectors really hard to move from one state to the other state, right? But I think we, try to also come up with a few ideas about this. For example, like a very basic one is to have a standardized definition of, let's say utility token, security token, stable coins, like to at least if they come in the same room in a forum together all over the world, they mention one thing and everyone has the same understanding about their product, right? And I think joint pilot projects will also be good because like in Indonesia, I believe with Singapore now, and then also Malaysia, we have like a pilot project where we can use QR code to do our payment all over these countries. So it's very, I think, useful for a user who like to travel. We don't have to convert our fiat to the country that we're going to, and we can just use the QR. Using our bank account, our local bank account. So I think that kind of things also can be very useful for the country doing a joint pilot projects. At the same time, they can come up with the real data of their users. The third things, Ron, you mentioned about our events back in 2021, right? The V20 during the G20 agenda. So this kind of forum where there are a lot of countries coming together to really discuss about the things that's happening in the industry. And I believe even back then in 2021, when we run the V20, there are two topics related to crypto, which is the CBDC and also the digital asset, because I believe CV was there in the G20. He was on stage. They already discussed about that, right? So I think bringing this discussion to a higher level discussion will really, at least come up with the one or two ideas to the countries who are quite advanced to really work together. So ones who have similarity, I think like Philippines, Vietnam, or Indonesia, that will be a great start. So yeah.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is that it's essentially making sure broadly everybody is on the same page. And that can start with something as simple as having a defined terminology. So we don't have, whether it's at the national or international level, something we had done with DECA, I think maybe our very first original official event that we had done in 2014 was to bring representatives from every department and agency and government into the same room to explain what Bitcoin was, what it wasn't, but really just to actually get a standard set of terminology. So we didn't have one department using terms that would be, counter to what the tax office might have. So if we do that on the international level and continue that dialogue, we can basically form a standard language, a template, and then leave it to each regional jurisdiction, each nation to tailor and edit as is required to their specific set of requirements and standards for their population. I see Alec is here. I assume we're wrapping it up and ready to move on into the next session?
That's correct, yes.
Amazing. All right. Well, look, let me just give a big thanks to each of my panelists. Certainly to all of the staff and support of DECA that, put in the tireless hours to produce events like this and bring people together. It's so important. And the same is very much so for each of the trade associations represented here. Asih, Dinh, I've worked with your staff, Chezka, you all have phenomenal people working behind the scenes to bring everyone together and put them on the same page. So just a huge thanks to all of you. With that, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, Alec.
Thank you, Ron. And thank you to our APAC partners. Please visit the DECA website to view their respective associations' landing pages.